our prevalence of wasting has been increasing over the years, slowly but surely and significantly. So this is, I think, a cause for alarm because these are the children who can die. And it is this nutritional condition that could prevent us from achieving our child mortality goals. Because after a while, if we are not going to address wasting, we will not be able to reduce our child mortality any further just using immunization or vitamin A or treatment of childhood illness. We have to do something about wasting if we want to achieve our childhood mortality goals. There's also a slow increase, which is also significant in overweight. That's a different problem, and I will show to you later what the implications of that will be. So these are the pertinent results of the National Nutrition Survey for children. I'm showing this as a background to some analysis that we did relating nutritional status with disaster occurrence. Next slide, please. Okay, just a little more about wasting. These are the regional prevalences of wasting. So overall, for the Philippines, it's 7.9%, and you can identify your own regions here. The prevalence of wasting is highest, at least for 2013, is highest in the Ilocos region, in Mimaropa, in Western Visayas, and in ARMM. I think the Eastern Visayas data here might be misleading because we finished Eastern Visayas just before Yolanda. We finished Eastern Visayas in October. So kakaalis lang nung team nung dumating si Yolanda. So maybe this is a little misleading for the current situation of wasting in Eastern Visayas. But for the rest, I think this is also one note about Western Visayas. The northern part of Western Visayas, we were not able to survey before Yolanda. We surveyed them after Yolanda. And that might be the reason why wasting rates in Western Visayas are high. So you also have to understand that context. Remember, when I started out, I talked about the disaster context. It affects our National Nutrition Survey. Next, please. So who is at most risk for undernutrition? If you look at the red bars, these are, of course, the poorest quintiles. So if you do a cross-tab of wealth versus the different forms of malnutrition, the poorest are at highest risk except for overweight, where it's the other way around. So these are the populations that are already at risk even without a disaster. So what happens when you have a disaster? Next slide, please. So this is hot off the press also. My staff worked on this day and night, so they sent it to me only last night. So this is unadjusted, and I haven't really seen all of their calculations, but I'm sharing it with you because I think the directions are correct. So if you will, what we did here was to get the mean prevalences of wasting, stunting, and underweight in children from provinces who were exposed to calamities at least 6 months before the survey, and those who were not exposed. And if you look at the differences, you will see that those who were exposed all had higher rates of undernutrition compared to those who were not exposed. And that the difference was significant, particularly for stunting. So I think this is something that we can take note of, that we can use the National Nutrition Survey for these purposes because we can do cross-tabs with exposures of different kinds of events in our country. Next slide, please. And if you look at that for adults, the story is the same. For adults, we call it chronic energy deficiency. And for those who were exposed to calamities, the rates of chronic energy deficiency are significantly higher compared to the provinces that were not exposed. Next slide, please. You might say that why are the overall prevalence of nutritional status among our adults, and you can see that in the poster outside, chronic energy deficiency is actually going